Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Swallowed Star 2, Land of Origin. Volume 12, Lord Luo Feng. Chapter 439, Victory or Defeat Part 2. 14th of Volume 12. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. In this decisive battle between two factions, the innate Xuanhuan lifeform faction naturally deployed their most formidable Xuanhuan ancestors against practitioner faction's 8 lords. Out of the 89 Xuanhuan ancestors present, 39 were skilled in self-preservation, a significant number. The remaining 50 excelled in lethal combat techniques but relied heavily on their companions for survival. The 8 lords struck first at the easiest target among the Xuanhuan ancestors, causing a stir within the innate Xuanhuan lifeform faction. The Dark Peng Xuanhuan ancestor was slain in an instant. Will I be next? Our formation's protective capabilities are still flawed. Some Xuanhuan ancestors began transmitting telepathically. A tremor ran through the infinite serpent Xuanhuan ancestor. He understood. When summoning the Xuanhuan ancestors, he had convinced them that their combined battle formation was nearly flawless, especially in terms of self-preservation. Only under this assurance had they agreed to participate. But now, with sudden deaths occurring repeatedly, the faction risked fracturing again. We can't delay any longer. Deploy the killing move immediately. The infinite serpent Xuanhuan ancestor transmitted urgently. Normally, clashes between two major factions could drag on for hundreds or even thousands of epochs. The original plan was to gather more intelligence on the 8 lords before unleashing the ultimate attack. A hasty deployment might diminish its effectiveness. But the situation had changed too quickly. There was no time to worry. Whoosh! The infinite serpent Xuanhuan ancestor instantly transformed into a colossal, ethereal form. After having completely dissolved into a phantom, nothing could stop him. His massive body engulfed all the Xuanhuan ancestors, as well as the 8 lords. Then, the ethereal infinite serpent ancestor solidified in an instant. His colossal serpent body naturally enveloped Yuan. Yuan was trapped within the serpent's belly. First ethereal, then solidify. This was the infinite serpent ancestor's ultimate killing move for trapping enemies. In the infinite Xuanhuan space, few could escape this entrapment technique. The faces of Luo Feng and the other 7 lords subtly changed. Yuan was suddenly trapped within the infinite serpent Xuanhuan ancestor's body. Moreover, terrifying fluctuations erupted from within the serpent's body. Endless light. Endless power. This attack was a combined killing move of the infinite serpent Xuanhuan ancestor and the Wujin Xuanhuan ancestor. Since breaking through to the immortal realm, the Wujin Xuanhuan ancestor had comprehended a destructive technique similar to Luo Feng's Great Origin Destruction. Such a devastating technique could only be unleashed by those who had achieved the immortal realm. It was omnipresent. Without the intervention of infinite serpent Xuanhuan ancestor, the Wujin Xuanhuan ancestor naturally materialized within the serpent's body, closing in on Yuan. Inside the serpent's body, Yuan could not escape. Helplessly, he watched as the Wujin Xuanhuan ancestor transformed into blinding light. This radiant light tore through everything, destroying everything in its path. Even the protective formation couldn't withstand the onslaught at such close range, being torn apart and utterly annihilated, along with Yuan's body. Among the practitioner faction's 8 lords, Yuan and Luo Feng are the key points. Without Yuan, their coordination would falter, their strength would wane, and they would be unable to withstand our attack. Without Luo Feng, their threat level would plummet drastically. The innate Xuanhuan lifeform faction had long understood this principle. To defeat the practitioner faction, the first priority was Yuan, the second was Luo Feng, and only then did Lord Xingmeng rank third. Eliminate any one of the 3, and victory in direct combat would be assured. Boom. As Yuan's body was annihilated, the overwhelming offensive of the innate Xuanhuan lifeform faction's other Xuanhuan ancestors' battle formations descended upon the battlefield. Beside Luo Feng, while the infinite serpent ancestor had trapped Yuan within his body, a fragment of Yuan's consciousness materialized as a weak clone. Under Luo Feng's power, the clone rapidly grew stronger. Even as the main combat clone was destroyed, Yuan's clone had already grown to possess 30 to 40% of its full energy reserves. As it grew, it burned its power to maintain the formation. Rumble. Though the battle formation was slightly weakened, with the support of Lord Wulan, Luo Feng, and Lord Xingmeng, it held steady for a crucial moment, allowing Yuan's clone to rapidly ascend to sufficient strength. A fragment of his consciousness has climbed to the level of a main combat clone so quickly. The Xuanhuan ancestors of the innate Xuanhuan lifeform faction felt a chill in their hearts. The key members of the practitioner faction were Yuan, Luo Feng, and Lord Xingmeng, in that order. Luo Feng, with his unparalleled defensive capabilities and combat prowess, was practically invulnerable to the combined killing move of the infinite serpent ancestor and the Wujin Xuanhuan ancestor. Even the infinite serpent Xuanhuan ancestor's massive body couldn't hope to contain Luo Feng's blade. As for Lord Xingmeng, No viable strategy had yet been discovered to restrain him. Therefore, among the three, Yuan was the most vulnerable target. Second strike. Yuan swiftly recovered to his peak. Without hesitation, the 8 lords combined their power for a second strike. Empowered by his companion's strength, Luo Feng wielded his blade with effortless precision, effortlessly cleaving through the battle formation formed by the numerous Xuanhuan ancestors. The Chushi Xuanhuan ancestor even attempted to block Luo Feng's blade with his own body. Though Luo Feng was tempted to test the limits of his blade against the Chushi Xuanhuan ancestor's body, a clash between blade and shield, he couldn't afford to waste this critical opportunity. With a flash of blade light, he effortlessly evaded the Chushi Xuanhuan ancestor. The Chushi Xuanhuan ancestor's massive spherical body moved with ponderous slowness, utterly incapable of blocking Luo Feng's blade light. No. Another Xuanhuan ancestor was struck, the Fengshi wind-devouring Xuanhuan ancestor. The instant the blade light struck, a multitude of forces erupted. The Fengshi Xuanhuan ancestor had split his power into countless strands, scattering them in all directions. Each strand represented a wind that, if it could escape, would grant the Xuanhuan ancestor survival. However, an invisible wave spread out, instantly annihilating 99% of the power. Simultaneously, forces of thunder, annihilation, space-time, and life-severing surged forth, targeting every escaping wind. Among the countless winds, not a single one could endure for even an instant. They were all obliterated. After being tested in the Lord's time slaughter formation, the Fengshi Xuanhuan ancestor's survival capabilities were deemed weak, completely suppressed by the combined power of the Lords. In a single strike, he was annihilated. The other Xuanhuan ancestors couldn't save him in time. The Fengshi Xuanhuan ancestor is also dead, the remaining Xuanhuan ancestors said, panic rising in their voices. The third strike. Luo Feng and the other lords unleashed their third strike without mercy. But the third strike failed. The Xuanhuan ancestors' life resilience proved stronger than anticipated, enduring for a fleeting moment long enough to receive help from the others. 5 highest-level life forces converged to save him, rapidly strengthening the Xuanhuan ancestor in the process. The fourth strike succeeded. The fifth strike failed. The 8 lords unleashed 8 consecutive strikes. Each blade tore through layer after layer of defensive formations. Even after being weakened by the formations, the residual blade lights remained terrifyingly potent. In the end, 3 of the Xuanhuan ancestors were slain. We underestimated Luo Feng's blade. The Xuanhuan ancestor of space-time lamented, we had 39 Xuanhuan ancestors skilled in self-preservation, their various life-saving powers working together, yet his blade still shattered our defenses. In the glimpses of the future I observed, Luo Feng's presence was nowhere to be seen. I believed such a coordinated defense would surely block the Lord's combined killing move. Luo Feng's blade is unusual. The Nirvana Xuanhuan ancestor transmitted telepathically, I have a faint feeling that blade is a clone of the abyss of destruction itself. The Nirvana Xuanhuan ancestor was the most attuned to the dangers of death. From that blade, he sensed a threat of annihilation, as if he himself were about to be consumed by the great extinction. His blade. Even I felt a hint of its menace, the Chushi Xuanhuan ancestor remarked. The other 8 sovereigns were all startled. Who is this Chushi Xuanhuan ancestor? The only being in the infinite Xuanhuan space capable of traversing the hellfire prison wall, one who could withstand all its flames. Yet even this powerful entity sensed a threat from Luo Feng's blade. His blade can pierce through all formation defenses and strike at the Xuanhuan ancestors themselves. If he gains a deeper understanding of our formations, we might even lose more Xuanhuan ancestors. The 9 sovereigns all understood this. In the initial clash, both sides had limited understanding of each other's formations, yet 3 Xuanhuan ancestors had already fallen. If the battle continued unabated, another 2 or 3 might also perish. Do you have any hope of breaking the Lord's battle formation? The Wu Jin Xuanhuan ancestor asked. There's no hope, the Xuanhuan ancestor of space-time replied, even if a Lord sustains heavy damage, Luo Feng can rapidly restore his companion's clones to peak condition. The 9 sovereigns all understood this. Yuan and Luo Feng were the key points. They had already tried targeting Yuan, but they hadn't even considered attempting to target Luo Feng, the critical point. The remaining 86 Xuanhuan ancestors suddenly retreated slightly, completely concealing their power, with the 9 sovereigns positioned at the forefront. The 8 lords also temporarily restrained their power. Both sides observed an uneasy truce. This scene was witnessed by the Xuanhuan ancestors of all factions from afar, eliciting mixed emotions. This clash shows the innate Xuanhuan lifeform faction has lost. Not entirely. The 3 fallen Xuanhuan ancestors were weak in self-preservation. The remaining 86. Even the practitioner faction couldn't overcome them, right? Moreover, the innate Xuanhuan lifeform faction still has over 30 Xuanhuan ancestors who haven't even entered the battle. Those unengaged Xuanhuan ancestors are mostly weaker in power. The factions buzzed with debate. Regardless, the initial clash of this war had given the practitioner faction the upper hand. The 9 sovereigns, leading numerous Xuanhuan ancestors, faced off against the 8 lords. 8 practitioner lords, the infinite serpent Xuanhuan ancestor boomed. Speak. What exactly do you intend? Are you still unsatisfied with forcibly occupying the southern river territory? Do you still wish to expand further? Even if we seize the southern river territory, we would still only control 20% of the infinite Xuanhuan space, Yuan countered. Without the southern river territory, you would still possess 40%, twice as much as we do. Yuan, the giant god emperor interjected, we have over 100 Xuanhuan ancestors, countless world-level and high-level Xuanhuan lifeforms. You practitioners have only 8 lords, with very few world-level or high-level Xuanhuan entities. You don't need such vast resources. Why compete with us? The giant god emperor, originally against wars, had been compelled to step forward due to the giant god clan's immense resource needs. I can authorize the transfer of the southern river territory to the practitioner faction, the giant god emperor declared, looking at Yuan, but you must promise never to expand beyond this territory again. The infinite serpent Xuanhuan ancestor, the Yuanwo Xuanhuan ancestor, and the others remained silent, clearly having anticipated this outcome. If they couldn't win in battle, they would cede the southern river territory. You want us to promise never to expand. Yuan shook his head slightly. At least you must not encroach upon the innate Xuanhuan life form faction's territory, the giant god emperor Sati. As for your conflicts with the I Speak faction and other powers, that is beyond our concern. Yuan, Luo Feng, Lord Xingmeng, and the others exchanged glances. In the boundless years to come, our practitioner faction may give birth to a 9th, 10th, or even more lords, Yuan said. Are you asking us to pledge never to expand toward you, just for the southern river territory? This territory already belongs to us. Are you demanding we cede our own lands and make such a vow? What do you truly want? The infinite serpent Xuanhuan ancestor rumbled, sensing that the practitioner faction was willing to negotiate, but only for more. Yuan replied calmly, our demand for resources is indeed modest. But all beings in the origin worlds are our kin. Our requirement is simple. From this day forward, all origin worlds within your territory shall forever belong to the practitioner faction's dominion. If you agree to this, we will vow never to invade the innate Xuanhuan lifeform faction. Luo Feng, Xingmeng, Wu Lan, Mingwang, Jin, Negu, and Momen, the 7 lords, all nodded slightly. This was their collective decision. All origin worlds. The 9 sovereigns and numerous Xuanhuan ancestors were startled. Utter delusion. The infinite serpent Xuanhuan ancestor could no longer contain his fury. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel.